Hello. My goal for this video is to illustrate to you the difference between get and post and show you why you might want to use one over the other. I'm assuming that you've already seen my two tutorials on get, and really what it is, there's just two different ways to pass form data. It doesn't have to be, particularly with get, but with post we're talking form data here. So if you have a look up at my URL, you see PHP $GRD equals 100. That basically tells you that, well, this text box right here is named GRD, and last time I used it I entered 100, and behind the scenes there was some PHP that looks like this, and that processed that variable, right? And so I access that variable with the get method. This is the get associative array. I'm going to show you how to use the post, and it works as you would think. And so really easy to switch things from a get to a post. So you could see why this isn't always the right way to pass things. If you're doing a login, right, which is a very common thing to do in a server-side language, right? So you wouldn't want to pass the password, and you might do the username up here, but certainly not the password. In this example, I'm just going to illustrate how you can transition this over and why. In my next example, I'll go through the full-scale implementation of posting some useful information. But here's a trick I like to do, and when I'm developing, I always use get just so I can see if I'm making mistakes. But once I've got a form that works and I'm ready to turn it over to a post, I do Control F, head over to replace, and you can see I've done this before. So I want to find every instance of get, and I want to replace it with post. And since I know that I was case sensitive about everything, I replace all. There was 2 occurrences, not uncommon to have 10 or more once you've got a full-blown form going on. Notice all I did, right? So I said my method is post now. So instead of passing it via the URL, I'm passing it not via the URL. Let's just say that. And when I go looking to set this variable, I'm going to look in a different associative array. This one's called post, right? These are both super global, so they're variables that are going to be available throughout the scope of this program. So I head over here, and notice that 100 up there. I want to put in 55, right? I haven't showed up to class for a while. I press submit, and why is that there? What did I do wrong? I posted it, didn't I? Oh, I didn't save it, of course. Alright, so I save, and now I refresh. Alright, so yeah, very funny. Alright, so I refresh this page. I'm going to get this error, and I'm going to go 55, and I submit. And you can see it worked the way it's supposed to work. Maybe there was some value to that mistake. I'm not sure what it is. I'll come up with a good spin later. But notice that 55 seems to have gotten processed because it didn't throw a notice, and those notices are harder to debug if you're using a get. So get is good for debugging, and it does have legitimate applications, but oftentimes we use post. And just to make sure, let's do an 80. This should be a B. I submit, and I get a B. And right, so now I'm passing this data, and really, as far as programmers concerned, it's pretty similar, right? But as far as the end user is concerned, that data is not visible up here in the URL, so that's a big benefit of that. In my next example, I will show you how to implement an extremely crude login system. It's kind of the classic example for post, where you would not want that displayed up here. So, tune into my next video, and thank you for tuning in.